and I understand Mr. Riddick won't make it tonight. Mr. Winnet just stepped out of the room for a second. He'll be right back. So I think we can go. Before we do, I do want to remind the council of a couple of things. We do have on Tuesday the 7th, we have the scheduled public hearing on the redrawing of the ward lines to comply with the recent census, the one man, one vote requirements. The following Tuesday on the 14th, we have scheduled a public hearing for school board appointments. And anybody who wants to serve on the school board, their name has got to be mentioned at that public hearing. There are 3 members of the present school board who are eligible for reappointment. They are James Driggers, Kirk Houston, Karen Squires, and Stephen Tonelson. 4. What did I say, 4?
3.
Oh, 4, I'm sorry. Okay, 4. After the public hearing, we've scheduled time for the following week to do interviews of folks whose names have been placed in nomination. And then we are scheduled on the 28th to actually vote to appoint, since the code requires that we have to have the school board appointed by June 30th. So we'll do that on the 28th, public hearing on the 14th, school board interviews on the 21st, and then we'll vote on the 28th. Okay, Mr. Manager? Yes.
On that, in the future, can we do that a little bit earlier? I mean, if for some reason people come out and they interview and none of them meet the criteria standard or whatever, then we're kind of stuck at the 28th with having to appoint somebody.
Well, actually, we're stuck at the public hearing on the 14th.
Oh.
I mean, you have to, if your name has to be placed in nomination.
Okay.
At a public hearing in order for us to do.
I mean, like, can we back the whole process up?
Sure.
In the future. Yeah.
Is the city advertising that? Do we actually advertise that? Bob, is that part of?
Yes.
Public hearings are legal notice. Yeah.
No, other than
The school board, yes.
Is there a special advertisement for that?
You can ramp it up if you want to. Yeah, I just normally don't.
It'll be a block ad in the general ballot.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Council, tonight we have 3 items for you on the informal. One is an update on flooding. I will say that as we've gone to these 4 new committees, where we're meeting on the 2nd Tuesday and the 4th Tuesday, one of the flooding committee, the flooding presentation is coming out of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee meeting. And today we also have an update on the summer youth programming, which actually is coming out of a committee that met about an hour ago, the Health, Education, and Family. So this is an update to the council. And what we will make sure is that each Friday in your packet, if not before, that you will get all of the presentations from the various committee meetings. With that said, we have John Piper, who's queued up to talk about flooding.
John, you did a nice job of bringing that storm in here. Just
We did that to emphasize
Queue up
the importance of the issue. I would like to start by introducing some people who have helped with this presentation and are here tonight. We have some of our consultants, Tom McNeilin and Kyle Spencer from Fubro Atlantic, Johnny Martin and Josh Hill from Moffitt Nickel, and Bob Roop and Forrest Robertson from Timmons Group. I also want to recognize Kristen Lentz, who started, as acting director of public works, started all this flooding study, this recent amount of it, as well as Alice Kelly and John White here as our stormwater engineer. The purpose of our presentation is to review the causes and implications of flooding in the city, to discuss mitigation options, and to present some strategies for handling flooding impacts. Flooding, of course, is a global, national, and regional issue. The city has undertaken extensive data gathering and engineering evaluations. We've been working on flooding for many, many years. There are some key policy and funding strategies that are needed at all government levels to meet the challenges of flooding that we face in the future years. I'll discuss in a minute. Flooding causes and implications in the city of Norfolk. We experience flooding from rainfall, tides, or a combination of both. We are fortunate that we don't have flooding from rivers as some of our surrounding communities do, and as you see along the Mississippi River. But precipitation flooding, rainfall flooding, comes when the rain exceeds the capacity of our stormwater system. And no matter what man builds in terms of a stormwater system, eventually nature's going to come up with a storm that is greater size than the system has capacity to handle. The other part is tidal or coastal flooding, which is caused by the tidal variations and storm surges. It's directly related to land elevation and proximity to the coastline, and there the city of Norfolk has particular vulnerability. And when you get the two together, precipitation and tidal, then you have a much worse situation. This shows a situation that we have in many of our outfall pipes in the city. We have about 100 outfalls into the bay from our stormwater system, and many of them are partially submerged. And so what you see here is the top half of that pipe is all that's available to handle the stormwater flow, because the bottom is filled up with tidal water. And then as you get a high tide, an unusually high tide, that pipe can fill up even more, and that further restricts the capacity of the system to handle rainfall flooding. We see that with some of our more severe storms in the city. Precipitation flooding, nearly all of our planning districts experience some level of flooding. With the storm that we just had, there's flooding throughout the city. We are a flat level city. Many areas have no curb gutter or collection systems that were built many years ago without such things. In many cases, the systems may have been adequate when they were built, but subsequent development in our city now it causes us to, that it exceeds the system capacity. Our new and replacement stormwater infrastructure is designed for a 10-year storm. To do larger than that would result in great expense, very, very large pipes and so forth. It's not practical for where we are. But again, in a 10-year storm, there is a possibility that at least once every 10 years we're going to get something that exceeds that. And that, again, is for the new areas whenever we do development projects or rebuild a neighborhood. Again, as I mentioned a minute ago, the tidal flooding and precipitation together exacerbate the problem. This shows some areas in green throughout the city with some of the most severe precipitation flooding. Of course, there are others, but these are just some of the ones where we see some of the larger problems. Coleman Place is one that comes to mind, where there really is not much of a stormwater system there. Tidal flooding has occurred with greater frequency in recent years. As the earlier presentation in August explained, we've seen a rise of the tidal levels in the city of Norfolk of about a foot over the last 50 years. We're getting that much higher tides at the peaks. This trend can be expected to continue because, in addition to the rise that we're seeing in sea level, we also have some subsidence of the land in our area. We can expect weather events of greater severity, the sea level rise, and the land sinking. This is a FEMA map that shows, this is based on insurance claims, that shows areas where we have repetitive loss claims, and you can read that there, but out in Willoughby and East Ocean View, Colonial Place, Larchmont, Edgewater, Lafayette, Winona, Ghent, the downtown areas is vulnerable. Tidewater Drive corridor experiences significant tidal flooding, and the Poplar Halls area. Current challenges as the sea level rises, the increased depth and extent and the duration of flooding will give us greater and greater challenges, and the limitations on our existing stormwater system become more significant. Flooding will worsen unless additional actions are taken. We are doing some things right now, but need to do more to deal with the issue. And there's another issue out there that's not part of this briefing, but there are some increased water quality regulations that are coming down from EPA that also adds a burden to us in terms of our stormwater funding requirements. Mitigation options. The city's been proactive in recognizing the stormwater issues since 1992. We created the environmental stormwater program. We've done a couple of stormwater master plans looking at our drainage and pipe systems. We've done a number of stormwater upgrades, and in 2007 we hired Fugro, a Netherlands-based firm, to develop some comprehensive plan for coastal flooding. And we'll talk about that at a little bit of length here in a minute. This is the dedicated capital funding that the city has for stormwater. Now, most of this, $3.5 million, is in our stormwater fund capital improvement budget. You'll see there is $1.5 million of general fund money that has been put in recent years for flooding. That's a total of $5 million a year, but as you'll see, we have needs that exceed $100 million. And so it's going to take, that's quite a challenge, really more than this amount of funding can handle. There are a number of things that we do within this fund in addition to just dealing with flooding. We have in recent years upgraded our pump stations, replaced the pumps at the downtown pump station. We have emergency generator capability at our underpasses. We continue to upgrade that. The Tidewater Drive underpass right now at St. Julian's is flooded. We're getting an emergency generator out there to deal with that. But there are a number of things we have to deal with, water quality improvements as well.
Right, John?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. One more time, how much money do we spend on a yearly basis on stormwater and flood control here?
The stormwater capital program is $5 million. There are additional standalone projects.
From a series of local fund, from our own local tax collection.
Yes, sir.
And out of the general fund, we're spending about $5 million right now.
Well, 3.5 of it's out of stormwater, but 1.5 out of general fund, yes, sir.
And from time to time, we get other grants that'll help us, right?
Yes, sir. And occasionally, as you'll see, we have some other specific projects that assist. Whenever we redevelop an area, say Fort Norfolk, when we redid Colley Avenue, included in that is improvements to the stormwater system in the street, and that's part of that project. When we did East Beach, there were improvements there as part of that as well. So there's a number of different ways that we improve the system, but this is dedicated funding just for stormwater.
Beyond that, we dedicate funds for sand replacement.
Yes, sir.
It's over $2 million this year.
Yes, sir.
It's like 2.1
Mayor, to your
million.
point, this is almost the I can say the bare minimum that we come in each year. There could be a project in the CIP that's identified that could be $1.5 million project. So I think it would be helpful if we were able to come back and show you maybe a 10-year time frame that shows everything's even on top of this.
That'd be good to have, really. Sure.
This talks about the stormwater infrastructure in the city. We have 10 or so underpasses and pump stations. Our average age of our infrastructure is 60 years, as an anticipated age of 100 years, but much of it is beyond its age, but also even though it may only be 60 years old, it may be of inadequate capacity. But we are doing a lot of things like slip lining existing pipes and so forth to keep them serviceable. They've done mapping, master planning, coastal studies, and a number of upgrades and replacements. Now, one example, this is a project, Mr. Mayor, that's beyond that $5 million, and a very good success story is in Fairmont Park. In Fairmont Park, if you're familiar with it, the streets were in terrible shape. The utilities department went in there with a water and sewer project, and we partnered with them to put in about $18 million to rebuild the storm drainage system, also to put in new curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. So as a result, we have completely rebuilt streets. But you can see the size of that investment. There are other areas in the city that need something similar. This, this is what you were mentioning earlier. This is just red dots of the places in the city where we've done stormwater projects in the last 10 years or so. And these are some of the most recent ones. We're putting a pump station out at Willoughby that's been bid, construction coming up soon. We've extended the outfalls at Ocean View. They were being clogged by sand. We had to run them out further to reduce some flooding out there. Done bulkhead replacement at Colonial Place at The Hague, and we're starting at other areas around the city. On Bourbon Avenue, just off Tidewater Drive, we're raising the street to reduce some flooding there. Downtown pump station, we replaced the pumps down there and also did some repairs to the flood wall gates and so forth. At all of our pump stations in the city, we have rehabbed or replaced the pumps and also have emergency generator capability. At some of them we have generators already, others we have the capability to plug in generators, and we're moving towards having generators at those. We recently cleaned out the box culvert under Norfolk State. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We found out that was heavily silted, and we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to have people crawl in there and get the silt out of it. A lot of things going on in the Coleman Place, Esterbrook area, although they are incremental. We have street improvements on Orange Avenue and Curlew and Cape Henry Drive and Montclair. The Richmond Surrey Crescent project that we've worked on, where we raised some of the streets to improve the drainage out there. Now, the interesting thing about some of these, like the Willoughby Pump Station and Richmond Surrey Crescent, is they provide limited relief. They don't provide relief from the 10 or 20-year storm, but they do provide relief to where, in both cases, people are being flooded and not able to get to their homes many times a year. So by doing some smaller scale projects, we're able to alleviate that. So we have various options here to continue to do projects like that, as well as the macro projects in some cases to try and totally rebuild the system. Coastal flooding. This is we've had the study recently done, and we looked at 4 watersheds that we focused on to determine the range of options that could be used for flood relief. And I'll talk about these options in terms of these 4 basins, but the same principles apply throughout the city. And there was an earlier briefing to City Council that Kristen did back in August. There are a number of things that you can do that are mentioned in the study. Of course, education of people. We've found in some areas of the city that people have moved in but sold homes and didn't realize that they were in an area that flooded. There are land use and government policy things we can do, some zoning regulations, some development requirements. We already have a minimum requirement floor elevations for new houses and structures that gets most of them above the floodplain for, I think, a 100-year storm. But what we see with much of the flooding is that you have garages, crawl spaces under buildings, carports that have built in that flood. And so many times when we hear about flooding losses from people in our community, it's those types of things. So one possibility would be that we could set some elevation requirements for those. Flood-proofing some vulnerable elevations. We have done some raising of houses, and also foundation, mechanical, and structural requirements. For example, we can place limits on what's in the crawl space under the house so it's not damaged, require that air conditioning and so forth be at a certain elevation. We have some requirements like that already, and there is a possibility of doing more. You can buy properties that are in low areas, and also there are some couple of infrastructure approaches of major things that you could do. Now, the first one here is structures or barriers. These work in areas where you can build a gate or a flood wall or a berm across an area to protect it from tidal flooding. Typically, when you do that, you have to deal with the storm water that's going to collect behind the wall. So typically, they have a pump station with them, so you get various things that are tide gates, flood walls, bulkheads, and so forth.
Don't you have to deal with environmental issues and permitting?
Yes, sir.
They're going to let you put a flood wall?
Well, that's one of the issues. I'll talk about that in a second, but yes, sir, that can't be an issue. Yes, sir. Stormwater system dealing mostly with rainfall flooding, retention ponds. Retention ponds work for rainfall flooding, they don't help for tidal flooding, increasing the drainage system capacity, and also raising of structures and roads. There have been some FEMA grants where some 20 houses in the city have been raised to higher elevations, and we have done a number of projects where we've raised roads that allow people to get to their homes a little easier. Tide gate, we've evaluated different types of tide gate options, steel gates, Obermeyer gates, inflatable dams, and the considerations that need to come into this are, first of all, you have navigation requirements. For example, in Pretty Lake, you may want to put a floodgate across there, but you've got boats coming in and out, so you have to have some sort of a gate to come in and out. Mr. Protogyro mentioned that tidal flow becomes an issue. If you put a gate across something like Pretty Lake, you're going to be changing the amount of tidal flow that comes in and out, which could affect the quality of the wetlands and so forth, the types of, the salinity of the water, and so, there are challenges there from an environmental standpoint to look at that. There are high initial capital costs, continued O&M costs, and you also have to make sure that what we have is is reliable, because again, if one of these things fails, you have a significant problem. On the bottom there, it shows a few of the different options, and really the steel gate option on the left is the one that turns out to be the most practical for what we have here. We looked at these 4 areas based on geographic setting. A couple of them are areas with natural constriction points, like Pretty Lake and The Hague. Others are specific watersheds which lead themselves to specific basin-wide mitigations, the Ohio Creek and Mason Creek. And there are areas where we've had some recurring damage and complaints about flooding. Now what Fugro did is they used a GIS modeling tool based on some FEMA modeling techniques that provides standard comparisons and so forth that will serve us well as we try and do things in the future. They're using tide gauge results that we have. They've done detailed benefit cost analysis. We have a lot of information on that we're not showing much of it, but we compare the cost of the project with the damages that are avoided by flooding of homes and so forth. They identified the cost of capital projects, cost of property purchases where that was appropriate, and included time value of money. This shows the modeling is based on the finished floor elevation. Over on the one on the farthest to the right, you see the floor elevation is above the flood level. The one over on the left is below. And what's interesting is the second one from the right is a situation where the finished floor is above the flood level, but the crawl space is not, or the garages or whatever. And again, that's a situation that oftentimes when we hear about flooding in a community, that it's heavily in those types of areas. So that's something to consider as well. This is a little bit busy, but this shows the 4 watersheds. The top line is the total structures that could potentially be flooded, the total structures within the basin. The next 2 show the potential damages of a 10-year or 100-year storm in terms of flood damages to the homes. And at the bottom it indicates The Hague and Pretty Lake do not have any tidal protection right now. Mason Creek and Ohio Creek do, so that provides us a couple different situations here that we can
Mason
evaluate.
Creek is a retention pond, John.
Not official, well,
It
whatever.
is, but you know it is. It's a retention pond.
Not saying it's not, sir.
But, but we've got it here. You've got it under title here, right? Is this a title map?
No, we're talking tidal and rainfall flooding.
All right, because Mason Creek right now, I bet if we went in their backyards, you can imagine where that rain is right now. Not title per se.
We're speaking of tidal and rainfall flooding here. Okay? So, I mean, and that's where the issue is in Mason Creek, is from the rainfall flooding.
Right, it is
Yes.
rainfall. Because title, we can seal it off.
Right. The results of the study and the strategies, the different levels of projects. I've mentioned some projects we've done in the bottom 2 areas. The top ones are the ones that are really expensive, flood walls and pump stations, or putting in new drainage systems like we did in Fairmont Park, very expensive. There are smaller things that we can do, put in stormwater retention ponds in neighborhoods, raise individual streets, extend outfalls like we did out in Ocean View, purchase some individual properties, and then you get down to where you have something that's affected by 1 or 2 streets, 1 or 2 homes, or a street or something, where we can do some less extensive repairs. And the bottom 2 areas are things that we are doing a lot of. The top ones are the ones that are a real challenge. I'll cover each of these projects individually, but this is a summary of, for each of the watershed, the project elements that were recommended by the Fugro study, and in each case there is a possibility of a phased approach. The cost estimates over there are very rough. They would need to be refined a good deal more before we can rely on them, but it gives you an order of magnitude of what we're talking about, and I'll talk about each of those individually. At The Hague, the recommendation, because of the narrow inlet, a flood wall and a tide gate would work well there from an engineering standpoint. It would need a pump station to handle the stormwater behind it. And we'll also need some closure walls extending beyond just this opening at the bridge here. You can see what we have here is, the pump station right here. This is the north side with a floodgate right there. The situation though is that there are also some low areas, for example, along Brambleton Avenue. And if you look at the 100-year flood levels, it gets back into Freemason. So it would be necessary, if you want to provide that level of flood protection, to provide some additional walls along these areas to provide additional protection to the whole watershed. But that is a viable project that could be done. You want a tide gate if navigation access was required there.
John, go back.
Yes.
And I know this is a lot of information, we're moving pretty quickly, but if we were to go to the federal government, I mean, are you going to try to come up with some sort of action plan for us here? I mean, because the flood wall, how far back would that relieve the flooding? Would it take it all the way back to what's the intersection there?
Really all the way up to Princess Anne Road would affect.
Yeah, because
again,
that's the water, as water's forced into the river, and it's forced, because it goes in there because, as somebody told me, it can. It comes into the Hague, and then the rainwater that's trying to come out has got no place to go.
Right.
And so the flooding extends not just in the Hague, but it goes all the way back to Princess Anne Road. So all those intersections, they get clogged through the entire that part of town.
Yes, sir.
We could get some relief if we did this flood wall, for not only the Hague, but I mean for those other intersections as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, because
Yes, sir.
the river will go where it can go. So we're gonna have to not let it go. And so, somewhere between 15, that's a 50% spread, it's a 100% spread actually. Does the federal government, are they people who can partner with us on something like this?
They can, but I mean, frankly, what we've seen is less and less funding from the federal and state governments in recent years with budget issues. But a project of this nature.
Wouldn't the
some
Corps
sort of
take on a
additional
project
funding
like
help.
this?
Pardon me?
Would the Corps be willing to take on a project like this?
Yes, they would, but their funding is dependent on congressional authorizations for something like this. Yes,
How
they
else
do
you gonna
this
get
stuff,
that?
that's their business.
We're right behind New Orleans, right, is the most potentially going under state, right?
Well, on the coast,
I mean,
we're probably
city.
number one.
So why wouldn't get our congressional guys and senators to go in there and fight this one? We'd rather be proactive than reactive.
Yes, sir.
Which they've done in New Orleans.
That's a recommendation you'll get at the end.
Okay.
Pretty Lake, a similar situation along the inbound side of the Shore Drive Bridge. We put in a flood wall with a tide gate and a pump station. We would need to raise some roads. You can see in the red or pink here, raising some of the roads from Shore Drive back to the south and also along Pretty Lake Avenue to help wall off some of the areas for flooding. It would have a tide gate there. This would be an area where there would be a significant issue because of the extent of the basin and the water in Pretty Lake, that we would have to watch out for the impacts of reducing the tidal inflow in and out. And again, there would be a need to have a gate here to permit navigation.
John, simple question, maybe I'm not understanding it from an engineer's perspective, but why on that side of the bridge and not the other side, which seems to have a smaller gap?
We own the land on that side, and it wouldn't require taking out the one restaurant. That's all we do. This is on the inbound side. We own the land on both sides. On the other side, you have a restaurant on the south and some other stuff.
We own the land on the north side?
We own some of it, yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, that's a good
We
point.
bought that
Tommy.
piece of property on the south side next to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it easily, I mean, it could be on the other side.
Well, and I don't, the, okay.
be on the other.
Both of the Hague and Pretty Lake are similar in that they don't have any existing protection against tidal surge. Flooding is widespread. Buying out properties or raising structures would be very difficult and expensive to implement. Significant capital investment is required to protect against against coastal surge, but on the other hand, if we look at the benefit cost ratios, they're very positive in terms of savings that would result from this project versus potential flooding.
John, I take it, I mean, we would only use these things a couple times a year, right? I keep hearing this concern about, the water quality up in Pretty Lake, but we're really talking about a hurricane type of event, right? Where you would.
Well, the thing
you might have a northeaster or something, but you'd only be, we're trying to stop a catastrophe, is what we're doing. We're not just, and we also would like, there are a lot of flooding issues, obviously, but we're really talking about preparing for a significant weather event. You'd only close the gates.
But for example, though, in Pretty Lake, the gate would be under the main span of the bridge where the channel is now. Tidal flow is coming in onto the side street also, and we would have a wall across there that wouldn't open probably. I mean, you could build a wall that would open there, that would add to the cost, and it may be appropriate from an environmental standpoint.
John, I know we get into a sticky issue with the military, but there's another open part that goes before you even get to that part of Pretty Lake that maybe the military might be interested, and maybe there's funding opportunities because they've suffered some damage too from the flooding that comes in. It really doesn't impact as much property because it's by the beach. I'm just talking about the main entranceway into the lake.
That is an option if you move the flood wall out to there. It would protect some Navy property, and so one of the things that we talk about here is the idea of pursuing some federal grants, and that's something we could pursue as well to see how if they'd be willing to participate. Yes, sir. Mason Creek. Mason Creek and Ohio Creek, which is in the Norfolk State area, are different types of watershed. The Fugro recommended project in Mason Creek would be peripheral walls as seen in the orange around there, elevating some structures and future building code requirements and property purchases. An alternate project that would also work would be a pump station to remove the rainfall runoff when the storm gate is closed. Just to explain how this watershed works, and I'll go over here. This is the Navy runway, and there's a culvert that goes underneath it. There is a tide gate right here that is closed whenever you have a high tide. It keeps the tide from coming in. However, when that happens, it also keeps the rainwater from going out. So when we have a combination of a high tide and a very heavy rain, as you have during a tropical storm, we have situations of flooding around there. So the potential solution would be to build a pump station here with a pipe just discharging the water out onto the runway. Would be dealing with Navy property there, and that's an alternate solution to doing some other things here in the land. And this just basically says the same thing that we said. Mitigation requires pump station, new storm drains. The benefit cost ratio is lower here because of the number of houses involved. Ohio Creek is the area under Norfolk State. It includes Spartan Village, the Booker T. Washington High School area. Now, the way this drainage basin works is there is a culvert that goes under the interstate, and that's not the problem. It's fed by a box culvert that goes under Norfolk State. And what happens is the rainfall up here exceeds the capacity of that box culvert. There is a tide gate down here that prevents the tide from flowing back in, but again, you get a situation where if you have that closed, it makes the rainfall problem worse. The solution here would involve a phased approach. If you look at the 100-year storm, it's one thing, but if you look at a 50-year storm, we see that there are some very vulnerable properties in there, and the recommended solution, the effective solution, would be to buy out the most vulnerable properties. Then if you wanted to build on further, you could put a pump station down here, and the final phase would be to add to the box culvert that goes under Norfolk State. It would need to be, another one would need to be put in, increase the capacity there. So that's a three-phase project, a little bit different than some of the others we've seen. Again, the downstream tide gate protects against tidal surge. The rainfall flooding is most severe we've seen in the Spartan Village area. The most vulnerable property purchase would, we could reconstruct above the flood limit, so some of the most severe flooding areas. We do the pump station and install a force main under the existing culvert into the interstate, so that it can be phased. In summary, the projects to alleviate coastal flooding in our watershed areas are feasible, but they're costly. And the approaches that we've talked about here are to pursue federal funding, and to do that, we would need to do some more preliminary engineering and studies for each watershed to refine the cost, talk about some different funding options that were mentioned here. It also may not want to put all of our eggs in that one basket. We can also explore other funding mechanisms that are available to us. And the final thing there is to consider some development requirement modifications. I spoke about, elevations of garages and outbuildings and restrictions and things like that. That concludes the presentation. Do you have any answer questions?
What do we have to do? How far do we have to go to formally go, to be ready to formally go for federal?
We would need another phase of the engineering study to do some geotechnical, some underground soil investigations, do some surveys. It'd be on the order of $200,000 study for each of these projects to prepare towards something that we know we can do it, we know what it will cost.
Isn't that what we just budgeted 1.5 for this study?
Some, yes.
So we put some of that on.
Shouldn't we move right ahead with that?
I think we did in this budget. We voted for
But we
it.
had 1.5 for flood mitigation.
Sure, we have 1.5 million for flood mitigation. So in terms of how we appropriate those dollars, this could be used, that source could be used for
We've
something
got
of
to
this
get to
nature.
the point where we know what we're really talking about. And can make a persuasive argument with the federal government through our congressmen and senators, right?
We had two areas in the budget that were about the same. Both were flooding. If I go pull my book, if I remember, one was about 1.5 to pursue further with the study, and then there was a second that was like 1.6.
Well, one is in the stormwater fund, and the other one was in the general fund.
Okay.
They both, the descriptions of both of
Were
them
similar.
is similar.
Right.
General flooding, we have flexibility within the descriptions of those projects to do a number of things.
All right, but these four studies, it's my understanding, these four areas were under one of those $1.5 million that we just voted upon. Am I correct?
That was in last year.
No, that was for 2012.
In 2012, as John showed you that pie, which was $5 million, 1.5 of it's general fund dollars. And you're exactly right. We could use those funds for any type of study.
Right.
To proceed down this path.
But we got this far last year on other budgets, not on the new
Well,
budget.
actually, not only was it used for, it's been used for a myriad of things.
Right.
That was
Can be.
used for, studies, it's been done for actual projects,
Well, what action what do they need? What action do you need from us to make this happen? If we've allotted it in the budget, what do we need to do now? Just tell you to do it?
Well, it seems like it's the will of the council that you would like for us to move forward to seek opportunities from the federal government to assist us. And as John
We need an
said,
action plan. I mean,
Yeah.
we have been studying flooding now for a while. We all had an idea we were, getting more water in the city than we had before, but now we need an action plan to address it. We need to be smart about how we spend our money, but we certainly need to come up with some ideas, with some plans that we can go to the, we don't have $100 million. One city can't hold back the ocean or the river. I mean, we can do some things we've mentioned here with some of our dollars, but, and I guess it'd be nice to know what the history is of the Corps or the government, the feds funding these projects as well.
We have talked to a number of times about that.
But then we have to make it a real priority.
Well, you
Get
didn't-
after the darn thing.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it could get to the point where, and that's why, John, when you mentioned it, about not, in particular Mason Creek, because Mason Creek, as we know, functions as a retention pond. I mean, everything goes into that creek, and it's only about 6 inches deep. And I'm gonna tell you, what's gonna happen is, in one aspect, we go to them and we ask for money. And I can feel it's gonna happen here, I believe it will. We're gonna go to the feds, we're gonna ask for money in one instance, and get the Corps involved in the planning and the monitoring of the contracts that people will do. But I'm gonna tell you, what's gonna happen is on areas like the berm and when it comes to the flow and the water quality, we're gonna turn around and have to sue them and say this, we need to make this happen and on the environmental side to make it occur. Because they may hold it up on the environmental side. They may say, fine, here's your money, and then we can't do it because we can't pass the environmental side of the equation, and then we may have to sue them for it.
Well,
And,
I mean, part of the issue is.
Ellis, I don't want to hear from you, or I know you're going to yell at me. I can hear it now in the main session. That's just
all in my head. Thank you.
But that's been a Mason Creek issue
Yeah.
forever.
Oh, I know.
We've had the DEQ, it's not just the feds, it's the state as well, are pretty firm about not allowing us to get in there even to dredge the stuff out. So, I mean, it's been silted,
And we may
everybody
have to
knows
file
that.
suit over that
Yeah, well,
to make it happen.
Well, a few things with this. One, I think we need to get our congressional leaders, our state leaders, and us all at the same table. I don't think that that's ever happened, Marcus, where we've had congressmen, delegates, and us in the same room talking about flooding. And I think that it's important to get all this to the table so that everybody understands what their part is in this. Because when you address a congressman individually about it, they tell them it's a state issue, or they say it's a local issue. And then you have us that will say that it's a federal issue, that we need assistance from it. But I think if we get everybody talking the same way, that we can build a case at different levels. The second part is, and Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the HRPDC has actually endorsed a study that former President Cook is working on through Old Dominion University dealing with flooding. And I don't know if some of the work that he's doing is some things that can be included in what we're doing where we don't have to pay for it. That he's already laid the foundation, and I believe there is funding through HRPDC to assist with some studies with this as well. I think I voted on that, if I remember, a couple of months ago, that we were approving some money for them to continue the study. And if I caught you off, I'm sorry.
It's a very high-level study. I mean, they're not really drilling down into the level of detail that I think that we would need, but there are some applications that we can definitely learn from what they're trying to do to get a handle of how our hydrology works. I will say that just 2 weeks ago, I was at a meeting with our congressional delegation advancing a request. It's called a Section 205 request for the Corps to actively be engaged in studying how our hydrology works. And that is a preset to get you in place in a position for future funding authorizations and allocations. We also requested $10 million in funding for our stormwater upgrades here in the recent WRDA bill. Just the problem is there's not a lot of dollars that are available for funding of these projects, but that doesn't mean we quit. We keep hammering away at it as we can. And happy to work with our congressional delegation further to communicate council's priority on this issue.
And the final part is there is a real easy solution right now, which is dealing with our building policy. We just need to stop allowing people to develop and build houses in places that flood, particularly in East Ocean View. We have to do something about it. We have to change that thought that there are just places where we shouldn't be building.
Doesn't FEMA control the level of those houses?
There is a requirement on the finished floor of the living space, but not on the other parts.
Even on additions, I think.
But we can be very progressive. And Frank, I see you sitting at the edge of your seat. I'm hoping you can jump in and maybe save me.
We already do require one additional foot of freeboard, which means you're building 1 foot above minimum flood elevation. as identified by FEMA, as part of our flood ordinance. We do not require it for the garages or the storage space, as John has indicated. It is a requirement if you do an addition. So routinely, we get people who are doing an addition to a home, and we're telling them the addition has to be 1 foot above the minimum base flood elevation, and they're telling us the rest of our home isn't built that way, and we're saying, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to elevate this addition. The only way you're gonna be able to absolutely prevent building in these areas, I believe, would be to have to acquire the property, because at that point, you're denying any reasonable use of the property.
Well, I mean,
We don't have any kind of exception for people who are building additions if their home was built prior to the additional 1 foot elevation requirements?
They have the right to file for a variance through the Board of Zoning Appeals. The BZA rarely grants those variances, and we do have to report every one of those variances to FEMA, and that does affect our flood insurance rates.
When I bought my house in East Ocean View, I knew that I was moving into a flood zone. I think it was the second to the highest, because the mortgage company told me I had to buy flood insurance. But as a young buyer, I can tell you, I really didn't understand it. I mean, it was kind of, you have to do it. It's going to cost me $50 more a month to have this. But, you know, maybe it also is an education part of this too, is when we have buyers buying into these areas, maybe the city can be proactive and just informing them. I don't want to, I mean, it could scare people away, but I don't know if there's something we can do at that level as well.
The thing about it is when they go to purchase though, the mortgage company does tell them, and if they have good agents, the agents tell them too, but all the FEMA the flood zones are set by FEMA, so it's nothing that we can do about it. Now, their flood insurance is less if they have certain, you know, if they're built in certain times, and the higher the house, the less the flood insurance. But,
Discounts.
you know, sometimes, and then now you have foreclosed properties where if the bank owns the house, the bank is not required to give any kind of reports or information. So if the bank says it's as is, then it really is up to the home buyer or the lender or the agent when they help that first-time home buyer go to purchase their homeowner's insurance. That's when they find out.
I'm thinking of when somebody is getting a permit to build a house. I was fortunate to get a discount because that house had 15 vents underneath it, which gave me some extra money off.
The builder
But
has to
there,
disclose.
right, but there are some other builders in that same area that put the minimum requirement that did not give the discount. It doesn't give the discount, but if somebody who's building a house knew that and was educated on it before they went in, maybe that would assist, you know, with some of this knowledge that's needed.
State law only allows us to require that minimum. So what in terms of the vents, we can't go beyond that. There are some other issues that John has acknowledged we could go above. It would require ordinance changes to be able to do that. These aren't policy issues.
Sure.
These become ordinance issues.
Yeah, I think you'll find it like in East Ocean View, that the new homes are built, as Frank said, so they're not gonna flood unless you get a 100-year flood. But I'm not sure what the realtors or the builders told them about the garages or the charges are. So there is an opportunity for more education.
And a lot of times people don't know about the garages because someone I know had a flood, and the problem was that the flood damage was in the garage, which was below the 10-foot, 9-foot, whatever it was, requirement. And so those things were not covered by flood insurance. And then you have the issue with the home insurance stating that, well, you have flood insurance, and so they're kind of caught in a catch-22. So that's probably where a lot of the education needs to come in, is what's covered and what's not covered.
Well, I can tell you, the issue of Mason Creek is, it came about because of the feds. And that's where it boggles my mind that we can't go and pressure the feds for money. The reason those houses flood the way they do is because they met the feds in 1945 and before. They ended up closing the creek and just putting in that culvert. And they were allowed to do so. The case went up to the Supreme Court, came back down. They were allowed to do so. What happens now is that, you know, the rainwater, as it comes in, it floods out, and it's up to them, since they caused it, and they have the culvert, and they're the ones who have the gate, that we need to have a pump station. So I think it's an easier sell for federal money, especially when they have the other half of the creek. So it's not just Norfolk having one half, they own the other half. And that's where I think a sell is easier to them, at least on that particular project.
And to answer your question directly, we have the funding to move forward to ask for assistance from the federal government. And the next step would be the preliminary engineering studies.
Yeah, Marcus, don't we also want to make sure we're being really smart about this, and that you may just want to buy some properties.
Sure.
It may be the most cost-effective thing to do is to buy a few properties that are the most severely impacted and spend some of your dollars that way.
And Mayor, that's one of the keys. That $1.5 million that's general fund related gives us that capacity. You know, there are more constraints with the dollars that are tied to the stormwater fund, but that $1.5 million annually with the general fund gives us that capacity to even purchase properties.
Okay, so just so I can understand, with what we currently have, those 4 projects, when are you going to come, is there a timeline as to when you're going to come back to us and tell us, I guess, prices? Is that what we're looking at now?
I think what we can do is don't necessarily need to come back, but at least in writing, we can give you a timeline and some milestones for
Good.
moving forward.
Also, wouldn't the other part of that equation be that some of these areas may qualify for certain grants that others may not?
Yes,
So you would have to look at that too, in terms.
Yes, sir. Part of what we would need to do is look at, every opportunity for funding, and there are different ones in different areas.
Because I know once you get into an area, you try to get in there and maximize as much federal participation as possible, along with city funding, opposed to trying to piecemeal here, there, here. Because I get Fairmont Park, for example, and we've been there almost 10 years, well, almost 9 years now, and 8 years, and been consistent. Even when we were short city money, we were able to get federal grants to be able to help continue those phases going forward. And so, I would hope that as you take a look at these 4 plans, that as you have folks searching for grants out there, that we would try to maximize our potential in whatever area, but making sure that the opportunity presents itself to get in and do major work.
Part of the studies we would do, that would be part of what we would do, is see what the grants would work for individual projects.
And the other part, like the mayor said, what I would consider is low-hanging fruit. Some of the homes that are impacted that we could create some immediate relief in those areas. So.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Okay.
At the last session, there were some discussions about what plans we had in place for youth this summer. So what Daryl is going to do is just provide an overview of some of the programs that are available. What I will say is that, without taking too much of Daryl's thunder, is that it's something that we can't do alone in terms of just the city and its partnerships. And as we start to talk about synergy and aligning resources with the both in the private sector and the public sector, you'll see that there are some opportunities for us to do some things, not just with the city, but with some of our partners. And Daryl has done. He's back.
Good evening. What I want to do is provide an update on our programming for youth age 13 through 17. And I also want to give you detailed information on our summer program offerings. The question was posed to me, what do we really do for 13 through 17-year-olds? And what we do is we work in collaboration with other city departments to provide programming opportunities for our youth. If you can look at this bubble diagram, it basically shows city departments that provide programming such as libraries that have summer reading programs for teens, Recreation Parks Open Space, we now have a new bureau called the Bureau of Youth Services, which will be responsible for the After the Bell program in the summer months. And we actually have the Youth Council, which will be committed to providing community service and community service opportunities for youth during the summer months. We actually work in conjunction with other agencies such as the YMCA's, the Boys and Girls Club, and we work with Norfolk Public Schools. So as you look at the bubble diagram, you see a conglomeration of programming that is geared towards teens in our summer months. Again, the Recreation Parks Open Space Department, our programs are designed to create experiences for youth, give them new adventures and new experiences. As you know, our current programming for summer camps are usually for youth age 5 through 12, and that's based on the actual size of our facilities. So a lot of our facilities from 8 o'clock to 5:30, actually we program out for the age group of 5 to 12. But as we go through this presentation, what you will see is we have a couple of new initiatives. We'll be opening our recreation centers up for youth age 13 through 17 from the hours of 5:30 to 8. And we have 2 new initiatives for teen programs, which will be hosted out of Northview Community Center and out of the Vivian C. Mason Technology Building. Part of workforce development, which Recreation Parks and Open Space will be working with the Human Resources Department this summer and throughout the year, is the Norfolk Emerging Leaders Program, which is formerly the Summer Earn and Learn program. And this is to provide job training, job readiness skills for our youth in the city. And currently that will employ 200 youth this summer. The chart that you're looking at now actually shows summer 2010 versus summer 2011. And what you'll see is based in 2010, we actually had 30 opportunities for youth age 14 through 15, and that was funded through stimulus money. That funding no longer exists anymore. So what we were doing as a city, we're subsidizing those youth who would normally be served by stimulus money with new initiatives and new programs. The other thing you'll see too is there is an increase of youth age 16 through 24, which normally we would not have had that increase, and a decrease in actual interns. And that's to provide more youth the opportunity for job readiness skills and training. Again, this is an overview of the departments. The city departments are responsible for certain programs for youth age 13 through 17. And as you can see, basically, the 21st Century Grant provides After the Bell programming in the summer at middle schools. We actually will now have programs at Vivian C. Mason for teens and in Northview Community Center. There's a breakdown of libraries, botanical gardens. They run a leadership program for teens in the summer. And libraries, which will have teen reading and fundamental camps for youth during the summer as well. One of the new initiatives will be a digital connectors camp. And what this does, it provides youth the opportunity to actually make their own clothes and brand their clothes. It's an entrepreneurship program, and not only that, it provides technology education. A lot of youth are into laptops, and you need technology to start your own business. This will be a 4-week camp, and it'll be up to 15 youth, and we will house this out of the Northview Community Center. And part of that will be to learn entrepreneurship skills. This will be a 10-week camp. Our second new initiative will be Camp Inspired, and that'll be run out of Vivian C. Mason camp. That'll be out of the Technology Center, but that'll actually be a camp where it's teens mentoring teens. This is a chance to give inner city youth an opportunity to learn outdoor adventure programs, actually kayaking, fishing, and things like that. Expose them to things that they have not had a chance to be exposed to. And once these teens acquire these skills, it's up to them to go back to mentor their peers and actually give them an opportunity to learn about the outdoors as well. What this actually does too, it gives them a chance to believe in each other, build camaraderie, and actually also to believe that teams can actually work together. Another proposed program which we'll be implementing this summer is during our 10 weeks that we normally have summer camp. We will open our recreation centers from 5:30 to 8 p.m. for 13 through 17-year-olds, Monday through Friday. And this won't be typical basketball. There'll be life skills courses, and there'll actually be opportunities for teens to actually discuss teen issues during these hours as well. Our next steps, as we transition with the Bureau of Youth Services, we continue to actually evaluate all teen programs, and we'll actually want to provide a wider range of programs. Part of something else we want to do too is implement the 40 developmental assets from the Search Institute from Minnesota and Dr. Peter Benson, where we provide safe places for our kids to play, give kids opportunity to experience schools, religion, recreation, and actually make sure that they grow up in a conducive neighborhood for learning and education. And that's part of what our program focus will be. And this will actually be spread to other youth serving agencies as well. As we implement and develop new programs in the summer of 2012, we want to make sure that we discuss these programs through the 2013 budget process. Any questions for me?
It's pretty good though, Darryl. I mean, I didn't know we were gonna, I mean, you really looked to me like you'd come up with some programs that will actually not only keep some kids busy, but also, you know, really provide some good use of their time.
Thank you, sir. What are the Saturday hours? You gave us the hours, 5 to 8.
Actually, based on budget cuts from this current fiscal year, all of our centers are closed on Saturdays with the exception of Norview and Lambert's Point.
They're going to remain that way?
Yes, sir.
Question, you got stimulus money for kids up to 24, right?
No, sir, we don't have stimulus money this year.
So that's city money?
Yes.
So are you, I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, are you anticipating or do you have slots for a certain number of kids, 24, or you got kids 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and that fills up, then that's what we would go with. But are we setting aside opportunities for kids that are 24 in this enrichment program for the agency?
It's
I'd like to take the first shot there, Vice Mayor. You're right. What happened is prior to 2 years ago, before the stimulus funds came in, the program really stopped at 19.
Right.
So the stimulus funds came in, it went to 24, and if we had an opportunity to hit the reset button, we probably would have taken this thing back to 19. I will tell you, out of all the applications now, about 23% are individuals who are 20, 21, 22, and 24. So we do want to make sure that the principles of the program, which were developed prior to the stimulus funds, are still in place. So that's something that, again, if we had to do this over again, we would have reset the button to make it consistent with the program prior to the stimulus funds, which are now gone.
That's something else for me to be looking for full-time employment.
Well, that's the discussion we had. In other words, a 24-year-old versus a 16-year-old in the program. And you know, right now, what I will say is that we're looking for opportunities for that 16-year-old.
Darryl, where are we on the summer soccer camps? Have you all come up with that yet?
We are still talking with Norfolk United, and our plan is still to have the July soccer clinic.
All right. Is it one, or they were talking up to 3? You all.
Well, the first one was actually involvement with the Vice Mayor and yourself,
right,
where we want you to come out and speak to the youth. But the other two will just be run through RPOS and Norfolk United.
And United too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. That hasn't, you don't have the dates yet?
We don't have the dates yet. They're still working on the details.
Yes.
Northside has a pool, Darryl.
Yes, sir.
And it's not open on Saturday?
No, sir, it's not.
I think one of the things many things we didn't do a good job, but one of the things is that Darryl in this current year took a $2.9 million hit in terms of some of his services. As you go back to the 2012 budget and their additional dollars, associated with recreation parks and open space. It's really the youth programming. We tried to pull it into Darrell's department. And I will tell you, in a very short period of time, he took all those dollars in these programs. These aren't new dollars. He just took existing dollars and he redirected those existing dollars for these new initiatives. But prior to this 2012 budget, the cuts that he took last year are still in place.
The wellness centers
It's open on Saturdays.
so they can swim there.
Where else do we have?
You got North Side.
On Saturday.
You got Berkeley, would that be open on Saturday?
Yes, actually outdoor pool, and those pools open June 25th. Yes, sir.
Berkeley, Chesterfield Heights.
So they're opening Saturday.
And Huntersville. Huntersville's indoor pool too.
We don't have one in Estabrook, do we?
No, sir. No, sir, we don't.
It's a mobile park.
So Chesterfield, the fitness center, Berkeley, Huntersville will all be open on Saturdays?
No, sir. They're not all open on Saturdays.
The fitness center's open on Saturdays?
Yes, sir, it is.
Where else will be open on Saturdays for kids to go?
The outdoor pools, once they open June 25th.
Chesterfield and Berkeley?
Yes, sir.
That's a lot better than last summer.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not being critical. I just wanted,
I mean, it is. I mean,
God willing, we were in a perfect world. They were open.
Our beach is open too.
Yeah.
Beaches are. Beaches are.
River stays open.
All right, Marcus, did you want to, you've got,
Just one more item.
okay.
Okay, I think it's a 3-slide presentation from Frank Duke. It's an item that's on the agenda for next week. And again, we said that when we have issues where there are a number of, something that's recommended for denial, we'll come to you in advance.
We're looking for a lengthy presentation. This won't be it. As Mr. Jones indicated, simply what we want to do is give you a heads up on an item that will be coming to you in 2 weeks, on which there is a negative recommendation. The item is a request by Tire City for an auto repair establishment at 901 and 905 East Little Creek. This property was last used for automobile repair in 2008, which means that they have to file for a new special exception. It's been more than 2 years since it was used for automobile repair. Previously, another applicant came in, actually 2 years ago in 2009, and also sought a special exception for automobile repair. He needed it because he was looking to expand to cover the entire site, and in 2008, only half the property was being used for automobile repair. So the application in 2009 was to cover the entire site. He came forward at that time with a proposal to use the entire site for automobile repair back in 2009. He was proposing a series of site improvements, was going to close some driveways onto the streets to improve access, and was going to install landscaping. That request was unanimously denied, recommended for denial by the Planning Commission, and was ultimately denied by City Council. In considering Council's prior action for the exact same request with the exact same improvements being proposed now, staff and the administration recommended denial because we viewed this as the same thing that you denied 2 years ago. Planning Commission also unanimously recommended denial on that same basis.
Frank, where is this? What's the biggest cross street?
Chesapeake Little Boulevard. It's next to the Wawa. By Bank of America.
We've been making cars and bars on.
In 2009, we had massive neighborhood opposition to it. We've heard no neighborhood opposition at this point, and we believe that's because we have told the neighborhood our recommendation is going to be denial based on council's prior action.
Do you have any proponents except for the applicant?
None. Whereas the last time we did have some proponents. The applicant does have a petition signed by a number of people who've indicated they would like to utilize an automobile repair if it were located.
What was in there before, Frank? What was in there before?
The guy who was in here, was in here before and had this property, was using it before. The issue we ran into is he didn't pay his business, he never got a business license. And because of that,
That's the issue we ran granted.
We say when you don't have a business license, you don't have a legal business. So we don't recognize the fact that he had operated
Okay.
until then, but the guy who was in here before was the reason that the neighborhood was vehemently opposed to it, because they said he didn't operate a good establishment. He created problems.
The guy who wants to move in there had a tire and rim store across the street where the new CVS is being built, and it was torn down as part of the new CVS, and he has temporarily moved. I think they have a location on the corner of Norview and Military Highway.
Yes, they do.
The old Big Al's muffler place by Big Kmart, and they don't, I guess that they want to go back to Little Creek Road and move on this site.
The impression I have is that they would like to keep both of the locations going. On the Military Highway site, that's grandfathered because it has had the appropriate licenses on and has not gone more than 2 years without having nothing there that we recognize. I'm sorry I can't make it drag on longer. It is what it is.
Mark, did you have anything else here?
That's it, sir.
Okay. We got some time if you want to put anything on the table for the manager right now.
I'm fine. I'm talking to him in private.
Okay. Barkley.
I emailed, I would, have to request to get neighborhood, they'd like to hold that TOD one to the next meeting,
Is that R1? Is that what it was?
whatever.
I think that is our one.
They, they indicated they tried to catch up with Dr. Woodley, and she's been out of town. I see Kristen is gone, and I guess this is a little, we just had a big storm, but I think we need, I'd like to get an update on how our drinking water supply is. You know, we're 6 inches down in rain already this year, and last year was a bad year. We just don't want that to repeat ourselves. Maybe it's fine, I hope. I guess that's all I got.
Mr. Vice Mayor, you have anything?
Yeah, two things. One, I know that we talked about this, but a couple of things. One being the conversations with the schools. I know in Daryl's presentation, he spoke of partnerships with the school, but it didn't talk about using facilities, tracks, or what have you for summer months. So, you know, I do I hope that the administration is planning to have those conversations with the administration, or do whether it should be at the board level. But I think it's time for us to start consolidating services and looking at how we can find some cost savings in that. And even if we don't do it this summer, we at least should be able to do it by the fall in terms of looking at opportunities where we can partner and utilize these buildings, these books, these computers, and these tracks. That's dealing with the school piece. What else did I have?
I could give you an update with the school piece. We have been, although we haven't reported to council, we have been having meetings, maybe as early as March with schools, and we're calling it shared services. And there's been a lot of progress, a great deal of progress, with something as simple as how do we go about printing. You know, there's some opportunities for savings, all the way to you know, the extreme of when we start to look at school construction. How can the schools be community assets? And I'll say that Nikki Riddick has been our lead person from our end, the lead person from the school side.
John Haslett.
John Haslett. So we've been speaking for a number of months with some good progress.
Yeah, and the second thing was the grass cutting piece. Again, I would hope that we would have, I'm assuming that you've had those conversations with Norfolk Redevelopment Housing Authority. These guys are not hourly employees, they're not contracted, you know, by the city, or they work for it. So when these guys go right up to the line, you know, and cut grass right up to the property line of NRHA's land, and the city goes right up to the city's line of grass, and you can see where the grass is 5 feet tall on one side and been cut on the other side. That's ridiculous. I mean, I think we have to use shared services. These guys are out there It just doesn't make sense for them to just bypass it and get in the vehicle and go somewhere else. I mean, that saves gas in the vehicle that they're driving as well as gas in the lawnmower by cutting where they are, and we can cut where we are. If there's property that belongs to North Redevelopment Housing Authority, and we're already cutting property adjacent, I don't see why we can't look at a map and say, look, you know, this is the way we're going to approach this going forward. That way, inventory-wise, we wouldn't need we hired other entities to work with us, but at least we're covering the bases. We're not leaving gaps for someone else to come in and to fill. We can actually maintain that. And so I would hope that we will have those, whether it be schools as well. So I just think that, you know, this year we'll get through it, but I just hope next year we got our ducks in a row in terms of addressing that issue.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I hope Daryl stepped out. They've already started discussions. You mentioned that to us beforehand, and he's been working with NRHA on that topic.
Okay. One last thing, Mr. Mayor. The bus transfer station. I will continue to stay on that. It is awful. You know, I go up to the gym, and you go up there to that corner right there by the cemetery, and they had folk fighting up there the other day, and it was just a terrible scene. It was a terrible scene. I wasn't, you know, I think if I leave gym about 8 o'clock, I may see an officer vehicle out there. I may not see officer's vehicle out there, but it's an unsightly place. We got to do better. We must do better. So that's all I have to do.
Thanks. Thank you, Anthony. Angela.
Just two things. A few months ago, I got a call, and I think Andy got it and Tommy got it too, but it was a gentleman who was trying to operate a carpet cleaning business from his home. And I inquired about us regulating or changing our ordinance for home-based business. And I don't know
It's Russell Bryant.
where, right, Mr. Bryant, I don't know where we are, but I'd like to see something happen so that our home, right now, if you operate a home-based business and it's a carpet cleaning company or lawn care type business, you have to go get a storage unit because a storage unit has a commercial address and your business has to have a commercial address. You can't operate it from your home even if you don't store anything at the home. So I'd like to, other cities don't have that requirement, and we lose a lot of businesses to folks who know people in Virginia Beach and just go to Virginia Beach. But it also is a burden on people trying to start a business or, you know, earn a little bit of side income, and they have to go get a $50, $60, $70 a month storage unit. You know, when they don't store anything at home, a lot of them are using cleaning supplies where they go to clean, you know, and then when it comes time to renew them, we may or may not be able to find them, so they fall through the cracks. So I'd like to see about getting that ordinance in line with other cities.
You said if he's a carpet cleaner, where is he keeping his equipment?
He could keep his equipment in his truck. If he had a van, if he had a work van.
Where's it garaged?
In his truck.
In front of his house?
In front of his house. That's what most of them do, even the contractors.
Commercial vehicles, there's an ordinance about certain.
I don't mean a commercial vehicle. I mean just a regular white work van that he can roll the door open and put the carpet cleaner in there, and, you know, I don't mean a commercial vehicle. But, I mean, there's ways to regulate that. But even the contractors, they have pickup trucks. They put their tools in their pickup trucks, or they have vans that they've outfitted on the inside. It doesn't look anything more than like a minivan. And on the inside, they've got their tools and stuff in there, and they have to go get a storage unit.
I think that's a slippery slope. I mean, suppose the guy got 4 vans. He keeping that in them, but he got 4 vans in front of his house. The guys don't, I mean, they park the vans there, but they come pick them up in the morning from his house.
We can still regulate. That's something that we can regulate in the ordinance. But to have.
We do regulate it, and I don't know where the line is. The last inquiry I got was through Dr. Whibley. and the owner wanted to operate a bakery out of her kitchen.
That's not gonna happen.
Well, we determined that it was permitted under the current guidelines, and she was permitted to proceed.
Really?
Yes, and I don't know where the line is, but as you are saying, that you've got two issues. We want people to be able to profit from their homes, and at the same time, we don't want to turn a residential neighborhood into a commercial one. And I don't know where the line is, but we do permit it.
But in a
And
bakery,
maybe we
though,
could
you have to
a
have.
presentation for you so we can discuss.
Yeah, in a bakery, you have to have the health department to come in and
Yeah, that's
give an
right.
inspection of the kitchen, and they're not
That's right.
gonna clear a residential kitchen
Yeah, they are.
for commercial
Virginia
activity.
Beach does it.
Well,
My sister
Norfolk won't
makes
do it.
cakes, and the health department just
We've
inspected
done it.
her kitchen,
We've done it.
and she had to apply for a business license, and she bakes cakes.
Okay.
She runs it all through her friends and internet, and it's.
What I
Well, then I
can
guess we
acknowledge
need to
to
look at it.
Councilmember Williams is that we have done what you asked us to do. We've completed the analysis. I think Mr. Jones is trying to be nice and not throw me under the bus on this. I've given, the analysis is complete.
Okay.
And I spoke to Mr. Jones last week about trying to get on a committee agenda so we can present you with the results of where our regulations differ from those of most other jurisdictions.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yep. I have a few things. I think this was addressed, and I can't find the email, but the email from the sheriff asking about sheriff deputies getting the $500 bonus. They are getting it. Okay, I wanted to make sure. Yeah, when we voted on saying no constitution, we meant the actual constitutional officer. Okay, I want to make sure that was okay.
Where did that, he sent an email.
Yeah.
It was, I guess it was, he didn't think it applied to the deputy.
Yeah, he didn't, when I spoke to him, he didn't think it was.
Yeah, I think it was misleading when it first came out, so. Just a little side, and I didn't know, I guess we have a print shop that we deal with close by that prints like our business cards. They're actually somewhere around here.
We have capacity in our print shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, somebody said that they went in to pick up business cards one day, and they were in there at the same time that they were making business cards for somebody over at the CSB. And I'm not attacking the CSB, but the CSB person had ordered their business cards with the fancy embossed Norfolk City seal, and that cost $30. And that person was just ordering business cards where you could have the city logo, I guess, printed regularly, and it was like $11 or $12. And when we're talking about ways to save money, I know it sounds small, but I'm just wondering, we're billing the CSB, I guess, or that organization's billing the CSB for the $30 for that business card. It sounds small, but it's something to look into when we're looking at ways that we can save money.
Sure, you bring up an excellent point, which we are looking into. Basically, we have so many images a month from the print shop, and Darrell, if I'm messing this up, you tell me, which it's to our benefit to use those images, because I'm going to pay for it whether or not I use them. So anytime someone goes around the print shop to do something, I'm paying for images anyway. So it's important for us, if somebody is doing an annual report or what have you, go through the print shop, because we're going to pay for a number of images whether we use them or not. But that's what we're doing, not only with the print shop, but even with desktop printing. In other words, at some point, we're looking at all of our printing services, and if I can print something that's going to cost me 25 cents from this particular print device versus a quarter of a penny from another print device, we need to consolidate that, and that's one of our 180-day list items.
Okay, good. I want to bring Barclay's big plea for red light cameras. It's kind of just died. We were talking about it. I thought
It was budgeted, I thought they had. Did you eliminate that in your?
Not that I know.
The last time we did this, there was a recommendation, there was a statement by the chief of police that we needed to hire two more, we would need to authorize 2 more police officers. Or you asked us to go back, instead of doing 4 intersections, to see if we could find up to 8 intersections. And then we had a change in administration, and I don't think it's well, I know it hasn't been scheduled to come back, but that would be the issue. We'd have to come back to you have intersections authorized, make an application to VDOT, and authorize 2 more police officer positions to monitor the cameras.
I would think you would also want to get the new police chief and staff to weigh in on it. I think it was not cost effective. Were you here when they brought that proposal that
Right.
take 2 police officers to monitor 4?
Right, and that's what we, but
It sounded kind of,
but we were all under the agreement though that we would look at 8, and maximizing the best use for those.
it doesn't cost anything for us to put 2 cameras on. 2 guys can monitor 4, 8. Yeah, better off than none.
Well, we can say there's 1 vote against it. But I would be interested in if we're gonna do it, because, you know, the General Assembly could very easily pull that away again. And if it's something that the city wants to do, I don't want us to miss out on the opportunity to do this if they decide to change that. The cameras in the project focus areas, there's been some more concern from the citizens in East Ocean View. There was a couple of incidences, and when they called the police to report what was going on, they had said that it was right outside one of the cameras, and the police department was like, we don't know anything about this. And, you know, if they're just there to be there, I don't know if it's a continued expense for us. I'm just wondering if it was just a bad idea. Can we use those cameras? Granby High School could use cameras. I mean, can we give them the Granby? I'm just saying if they're just there to be there because it was a quick fix to something, if they're not being utilized or if they're not preventing, then why are we keeping them up? And what are we paying to keep them up and continuing them?
I'll look into that for you. Here's the dilemma. You have a camera, and the camera's up, and let's say there's no crime that's committed. The question becomes, was the camera a deterrent, or is the camera not being utilized? You know, that's one of those things that is very difficult to ascertain whether or not the camera was successful or not. But what we can do is look at how the cameras have been utilized over, I guess, the last 3 years, and to see, you know, whether or not it's in a place that's in its highest and best use.
The other part of that equation, I thought the cameras, you know, if something were to happen, that you would go to the cameras, you know, to try to piecemeal what happened.
Sure.
Opposed to someone sitting at the camera and dispatching a police officer.
Right. That's exactly right.
To the scene.
Right.
We talked about that, and that wasn't cost effective. So if there is something that is taking place, and they have violent crime, or burglary, larceny, and they can go to the feed and be able to apprehend the perpetrators, then you would say that the cameras were a success. But generally, what folks do is move up 2 more blocks away from the camera. So, I mean,
I'm just saying, if we could utilize those cameras somewhere else, you know, I know we spent some money on the parking garage cameras, but if there's another location that could use them, and I'm not advocating to pull them away, I just want to make sure that we're getting the best use out of them. If they're just sitting there, if that's the case, we just put fake cameras up, and you know, nobody would know. I don't, you know, there's a liability. That's your thing. Yeah, right. And finally, the R22 about the Tazewell building lease, and I had asked about the fiber optics. Were you able to get an answer about the, for those, I had asked the city manager about, there's a proposal to change the fiber optics in the building, and I had asked about how much money that would cost to put the fiber optics in if we are not planning on staying in that building. If we end up leaving, we're putting all that money into a building that we might not stay in. So that was my one concern with it.
The fiber optic, what you would be approving is the permission being granted at no cost to us from the owner of the property to put in a fiber optic line so that our police and fire, if you were staying there, would have better connections to our grid of electronic information, our computers and telephones and that sort of stuff. So we would improve. It's something that we need, and it's something that the landlord would allow us to do at no, and he wouldn't charges
We
anything for
pay
the
for it.
approach. Yes, we pay for it.
I think
But-
the
but
point
there's no-
is, if
there's
we're
no cost for
looking
the
at the overall scheme of maybe having all our, you said we had 400,000 square feet under lease within a 5 or 10 year period or whatever, having people in our own properties, is it a good investment? I think that's what he's saying.
You're right.
To spend in what?
It's a very inexpensive investment.
Okay, well, that's what I was asking.
$8,000.
How much?
We get
Just
these,
$50,000.
we got this, and I'm reading this, and the financial impact is only dealing with the lease, but there's this whole conversation in there about fiber optics with no cost on it. And so there is an expense, and it's nice to know that in advance, because if not, when you have citizens who are paying attention and they read this, that's when we start getting the angry emails about that, you know, we're just wasting more money. But we can solve this if we know in advance about it and how much it's going to cost, and we can explain this. I think that a couple of us got an email from an angry citizen about this, and it could be better explained.
And I think that some of that's brought on by the point we talk about selling the Granby Street building, the fiber optic system we have in there could be a detriment to getting out as a part of it. So I think people could read that into this and think, you know, you'll make a huge investment. But he's answered my question. It's a minor investment.
Couple of things, very briefly. Right on schedule this morning, Dominion was out in the middle of Bush Street, putting up barrels and, you know, and a sign. I don't see John, they're in Bush Street. I don't know what they would do if they're not, I mean, they're in Bush Street a couple or 3 times a week. Can't we get it all done at one time? I mean, instead of, it's like and I know they come in there and they pull a permit and we give them a permit, but somebody's got to look at the picture to say, what are we doing? We've been in Bush Street. It's been going on years now. And they were just out there, and I don't know if they're out there right now, or,
I don't know what that is. It shouldn't be related to the project, so.
I don't know what it is either, but there were trucks in the middle of the street, and they had the signs out with the arrows. They will just stay out of Bush Street for a month or something like that. They're driving people crazy. I mean, it's just, I don't blame them. People are up to here.
What are they doing? What are they doing?
I mean, they're doing all sorts of, I mean, they've been doing stuff for
It's
years.
Dominion Power.
Yeah, it's Dominion, and then I asked maybe a month ago about the trees that have been killed on Bush Street by people doing work there, and nobody's ever.
So it's going to be replaced in the fall. One
Okay.
for Oak has been
I
run
mean,
over.
a note back would be helpful. I think I tried to make that point before when you ask a question. Just come back and, you know, the fall is the planting season, so we're gonna, but, you know.
If you used email, they usually email you back.
No, they don't have time to get it out here, that ain't true either.
Oh, I get emails back from Stanley.
Do you have a special relationship with him then?
Marcus, I got stopped at the Maury High School rededication. Someone was concerned that we had taken money away from the police museum, and, I mean, this lady was distraught. I mean, you would have told us that, right? If there's somehow in the budget, there'd been $20,000 chopped from the museum.
No, what occurred with the Police and Fire Museum is that instead of being operated under civic facilities, cultural facilities, John Ramstein, again, it's a museum, and what's happening is it's being managed by Hank. And with it, there were some savings, but there was supposed to be a capacity within Hank and John's operation that we wouldn't miss a beat. So if there's something different than that, I'll get right back with you on that.
Okay, will you check that?
Yes.
Because the lady was
Probably
concerned, there was some,
not communicated.
yeah, there was some jobs, some part-time jobs that the lady claimed had been eliminated. And I said, you know, I had not heard anything about that, so.
Well, I know there's one piece of it was there was going to be this use of volunteers. So there could have been some temporary positions related to it, but we'll get something back to the full council. But I know that there's a use of volunteers in this strategy.
Okay, yeah.
One more thing. At some point, we need to get Marcus, you and I, and Darryl, and whomever, to discuss the different alternatives in the league.
Sure.
You know, there's a lot of anxious people, 800 kids are going to be be put out, without a place to go. I know a number of us have been looking at alternatives all over the city. It would really be nice if we made a decision of which way we could or couldn't go before their season ended, so they could tell, we just went a couple, 3 weeks. It's been dragging on. We've had a number of meetings with Navy brass and elected officials and what have you, but there's a lot of angst among a lot of people as to where we're headed. Are they gonna have a home somewhere? And I keep assuring we're working on a number of, can we bring that to a head shortly? I know you're working on it.
Yeah.
We've all talked about it, but I think we need to give them some level of comfort, because there are a lot of people's lives affected in a very successful situation.
We can do that. We're working on several options, you're right.
You think we,
I think we talked about before mid-June, and that's more than possible.
I think we need to do it on a council level, agree on something, and then give it a little league, and then give it to impacted neighborhoods or whatever, wherever we end up.
Well, we could come as early as the work session, first work session in June.
To be fine, sure.
Okay.
There's a lot of moving parts. You've got Ocean View too, and you've got Naval Base, Little League.
Do they expect the land to be contiguous, or?
No, I don't know. I know Daryl's working on it with Marcus, and I don't, we need to be sure that all of them have a place to play. I know that Naval Base wants to have theirs contiguous, and Ocean View wants to have theirs where you lose the synergy if they spread them out all over the city. So we need to do whatever we need to do to come up with some level of comfort. They know we're working on it. They know it's important to us. I think we need to all agree as a council, staff, administration, where we're headed, and we need to take care of these kids.
Okay. All right, so we'll start right at 7.